The rain was coming down in sheets, blurring the lights of the city into a watercolor wash of yellows and reds. It was the kind of rainy day that made you want to curl up with a good book and a cup of tea. But for Elias, it was just another dreary Tuesday afternoon. His antique shop, tucked away in a forgotten alley, was filled to the brim with dusty relics from a bygone era. Most days he enjoyed the solitude, the quiet company of his own memories. But today the silence was deafening. It was the kind of silence that made a man question his choices. Wonder if there was more to life than the endless parade of rainy Tuesdays. Just when he was about to succumb to the overwhelming blahs of his existence. The bell above the door chimed, announcing a customer. He looked up to see a small child standing in the doorway, a wide-eyed, freckled-faced kid with a mop of unruly red hair. The boy hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside, shaking the rain from his coat. "Can I help you?" Elias asked, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. The boy didn't answer right away. He took a few steps into the shop, his eyes scanning the cluttered shelves. "I'm looking for something," he said finally, his voice barely a whisper. "Something specific." Elias leaned back against the counter, arms crossed. "And what would that be?" he asked, more out of politeness than genuine interest. The boy didn't respond. Instead, he began wandering through the aisles, his gaze intense, unwavering. Elias watched him for a moment, a sense of unease settling over him. There was something about the boy, the way he moved, the way he looked, that set Elias on edge. Then the boy stopped. He turned to Elias, his eyes shining with an otherworldly light. "Do you know," he began, his voice echoing strangely, "that this shop is special?" Elias frowned. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice tight. The boy took a step closer. "This shop," he said, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, "is a doorway to another world." Elias stared at the boy, his mind struggling to make sense of what he was hearing. He looked around the shop, at the dusty furniture, the chipped teacups, the cobweb-draped chandeliers, and saw only the reflection of his own disbelief. The boy reached out a hand and touched Elias's arm. His touch was cold, like ice, and it sent a shiver down Elias's spine. "Don't you feel it?" he whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. "The magic." Elias pulled away from the boy, his heart pounding in his chest. He needed to get a grip on himself. This was madness. A talking child who claimed that a dusty old shop was a gateway to another world. Only a madman would believe such a thing. But then he looked into the boy's eyes, so full of wonder, so full of belief, and something in him, something long dormant, stirred. Could it be possible? Was there really another world, another reality hidden just beyond the veil of his perception? He thought about his life, his mundane, predictable existence, and felt a sudden, overwhelming urge to break free from the shackles of his own making, to seize the day, to embrace the unknown, to dare to believe in the impossible. Taking a deep breath, he nodded slowly. "Yes," he whispered, "I feel it." A smile spread across the boy's face, lighting up his features like a beacon in the darkness. "Come with me," he said, extending a hand towards Elias. "I'll show you." And without hesitation, Elias took that hand and stepped through the doorway to a world beyond his wildest dreams. As they ventured deeper into the shop, the air grew thick with anticipation. Elias's heart raced as he realized that every step he took was not just a step into the unknown, but also a step into his own destiny. Then, as suddenly as it began, their journey came to an end. Before them stood a mirror, its surface shimmering like a pool of liquid starlight. The boy turned to Elias, his eyes shining with excitement. "This is it," he said, his voice filled with awe. The doorway to another world. Elias stared at the mirror, his reflection staring back at him, a stranger in a strange land. He knew in that moment that there was no turning back. There was no other world. He had stepped through the looking glass into the realm of imagination, the realm of childhood, where anything was possible. He looked down at the hand he was holding out to him and saw not a freckle-faced child, but a reflection of himself, young and full of wonder. He realized then that he wasn't just stepping into another world. He was stepping into his own past, his own forgotten childhood. And in doing so, he was rediscovering the magic that had been lost.